only and does not provide professional medical advice. Please consult your physician for personalized medical advice if you're seeking medical advice, diagnoses, or treatment. The views and opinions expressed on this program are that of the host and/or the views of the persons interviewed and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of CHLY 101.7 FM, its staff, sponsors, volunteers, or members.
Welcome to episode 25 of Orange Bench Radio here on CHLY Nanaimo. I'm your host, Derek Poderico, your friendly neighborhood family doctor. Each week, we step back in time to groove to the beats of the 80s, 90s, and 2K, blending nostalgic tunes with insights into physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Today's episode is called Connection Cure, Social Prescribing in the Free World. And we have a special guest, Julia Hotz, author of the book, The Connection Cure. She'll be joining us to discuss the power of social prescribing, an approach that helps people connect to improve health and well-being. In previous episodes 15 and 16, we had chatted with local social prescribing champions about Nanaimo's very own social prescribing network. For those in Nanaimo, Julia will be at Bowen Park at 3 p.m. on Sunday, March 2nd, so if you're interested in learning more and engaging in person, community is medicine. To kick off today's theme, we're starting with a song by Collective Soul, the group name that couldn't be more fitting for our discussion on connection and community. Here's The World I Know on Orange Bench Radio. That was The World I Know by Collective Soul from 1996, a song that speaks to reflection, change, and the way we see the world around us. Has our conscience shone? Has a sweet breeze blown? These lyrics invite us to pause and consider our own roles in shaping the connections in our lives, and that's exactly what we're doing today. How fostering relationships and engaging in our communities can heal us in ways medicine alone cannot. We're talking with author Julia Hotz on Zoom today. Welcome to Orange Bench Radio.
Thank you so much, Derek. So great to be here.
We are so excited to have you here. And yeah, the Connection Cure has lots of great thoughts and remedies for our ailing world. But yeah, just for the listener's sake, maybe give us a little bit of a background about yourself and who you are and where you are and go from there.
Sure. Well, I am coming to you from New York City. Nice. I am a journalist, and I've had the distinct pleasure of traveling around the world for the past couple of years, learning about this new thing called social prescribing. And that is what the book is about. Canada is a huge supporter and excellent global case study of what this thing called social prescribing is. I think you've had past guests talk about it before, but basically it's this idea of doctors, social workers, nurses, people in healthcare, right, referring people, actually prescribing community-based resources and activities as medicine. So that could be art classes, that could be yoga instruction, it could be swimming lessons, whatever it might be. It's about flipping the script from what's the matter with you to what matters to you.
I love how you put that. Yeah. What matters to you? And maybe just to go back to your journey, like I've read the book and you've made quite the world journey. Tell us where you've gone and what you've learned.
So I really began this global journey in England because England was the first nation in 2018 to declare loneliness an emergency, first of all, worthy of a minister's appointment. They actually appointed a government official to deal with loneliness. And this is because, and this was brand new news to me, loneliness is not just this like thing we see in pop culture as typically an older person who's isolated, which is also very real. It's sort of this pervasive phenomenon in our culture that has these really profound effects on our health. Yes. Maybe you've heard the statistic. Yeah, I mean, feeling lonely is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And so I began in the UK because I was, first of all, curious, like, what is this minister actually going to do? And second, what do people who are lonely want this minister to do? And that is how I came across this concept of social prescribing. It turns out that people want to have more spaces to meaningfully connect with others, to reconnect to their passions. And linking this to loneliness and healthcare is one way to make that more of a reality. But I mean, after starting in the UK, it's spread to 32 countries. And I've been to Denmark, I've been to Australia, South Korea, Singapore, Canada, of course.
Cool.
It's been a great ride.
Yeah, no, as a family doctor, I mean, loneliness is a disease, something that I saw in my patients over the years. And now that, we've officially made it a crisis. And I guess your U.S. Surgeon General also declared an emergency. So yes, we must take it seriously now that government's involved, but I'm just being cheeky. But and back to, the cure and, the wonderful book that you wrote, maybe you can give the listeners a little bit of an insight on how do you move the loneliness dial down?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, just great respect for the way that family doctors have recognized this for a long time. It's so true that now there's sort of this buzz around it in government and in our culture. But I think really family doctors were some of the first to say, I wish I could prescribe my patient friendship. I wish I could prescribe my patient a hobby that would get them out of bed in the morning. And so, for me, this connection cure was really about asking, okay, like, what does this look like in healthcare? What would it mean for a family doctor to prescribe, cycling lessons or an art class? And It turns out it looks pretty different depending on where you go.
Julia breaks down 5 key social prescriptions that can help combat loneliness and improve our overall well-being: movement, nature, art, service, and belonging. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're actionable ways to reconnect with ourselves, each other, and the world around us.
Absolutely. So my book focuses on 5 kinds of social prescriptions: movement, nature, art, service, and belonging. And I chose those 5 because, first of all, in the 32 countries where social prescribing exists, these were kind of the most common categories.
We saw that pattern. Okay.
Right. I saw that pattern. And like, if you think about it, who we were, tens of thousands of years ago, these elements were not stuff of hobbies. They were stuff of our daily lives. Like, we needed to move our bodies. We needed to pay attention to nature. And I think that's why when you look at the research, there's all these profound health effects that come from, of course, moving our bodies. We know this, not just from, a cardiovascular and metabolic health standpoint, but also psychologically. I mean, movement is linked to serotonin, dopamine. Nature is linked with having restored attention, better focus. Art is linked with less anxiety, less stress.
Creating, yes.
So we can run down the list, but basically it's those 5, because those 5 in some ways are like gateways to you being really present in your environment and sort of hearkening us back to a time where we were living in community.
Yeah, and just add to the list, because the service and belonging as a family doctor, it's such something we do undervalue at times. I mean, culturally speaking, things have shifted. I don't know if you have some insights into that, bringing back service, bringing back to those yesteryear, thinking of the community and what you can give or help with community stuff.
Absolutely. And it's funny we bring that up in our context because, this is something that the U.S. Surgeon General has articulated as part of how he sees us tackling the loneliness crisis. He wants to sort of reinvigorate this culture of service, of volunteering, which is associated with all kinds of physical and mental health benefits. I think it's interesting in the Canadian context because one thing that's unique about the social prescribing models that I came across in Canada is that there is this sort of ethic of service and volunteering built in. In other words, in some of the earliest pilots for social prescribing, what worked was actually having people who were given a social prescription sort of come back and step into this volunteer champion role to then kind of pay it forward. And I think this just has such great, not only knock-on effects for the person, but it also makes the program itself like more sustainable. I think the number one question is that I hear from family doctors is, this is great. I would love to do this. How am I going to have the time, the staff, the resources, the knowledge? I think this is where community volunteers can be really, really key.
Hey, this is Jay Semko, and you are listening to Dr. P on Orange Bench Radio at CHLY Nanaimo. Dig it.
Well, one other thing that Orange Bench Radio is about there, Julia, is the music. And I'm curious, is there a song that you'd like to play that is meaningful and 80s, 90s, or 2K?
So many. It's so hard to pick one. But I think I always come back to the Talking Heads song, Road to Nowhere. First of all, just love David Byrne. David Byrne is such an ambassador for social prescribing. He himself writes and sort of lives the virtues of the way art can be medicinal.
Very cool.
There's something just so joyful about that song that makes me want to like go frolic in a field like I'll be doing in Bowen Park tomorrow.
Nice. So here is The Road to Nowhere by the Talking Heads on Orange Bench Radio.
Give us time to work it out. Take
So good. That was Road to Nowhere from 1985 by David Byrne and the Talking Heads, Julia's pick for today. It's a joyful song, yet there's a subtle darkness in the lyrics, and that's the beauty of life's duality. The road ahead can be uncertain, but it's not something we face alone. It's the connections we make along the way that really matter. In classic Taoist style, joy and uncertainty aren't opposites. They exist together, shaping our journey. Now let's get back to our conversation with Julia Hotz as we dive deeper into social prescribing and its impact here in Nanaimo, as well as discuss tomorrow's social prescribing event at Bowen Park. Back to Nanaimo's journey, a little bit about what's happened. We just have engaged in this, as with Dr. Adam Hooverman, who's been a champion with this program. We have our own social prescribing network through the Nanaimo Family Life, as well as our Island Health Community Health Services, which is a cool start. I've had some patients give me some feedback already. It's not a moment too soon in their lives because they are crying out for some help, and that's really neat stuff.
Totally. It's really amazing what you've been able to do in Nanaimo. I mean, there's just, again, the fact that social prescribing is even something on so many people's radars, that it's not just, one organization or one doctor championing it, but actually that there's this sort of robust system with these community connectors, I think is incredible and such a model of what social prescribing can become in other places.
And speaking of the Nanaimo, I hear you might be in town.
I will. I'm so excited. I have to tell you, I was, I'll be here on March 2nd to talk about the book and social prescribing and meet with Dr. Adam and other folks who've really been at the core of this movement. But I was just booking my travel there, and I'm so excited for the journey as well as the destination. You live in such a beautiful part of the world that I've never been to.
Well, we're very excited. So do we have specifics about tomorrow's event?
I'll be at Bowen Park at 3:00 p.m. There's going to be a lot of fun activities like disc golf.
Cool.
We're sort of walking the walk, talking the talk here, being out in nature. And I'm just super, super excited for the walk, for the golf, for the amazing humans that I'm going to get to meet.
As we wrap up, I asked Julia one final question. Imagine for a moment that you're the mayor or civic leader here in Nanaimo for the day. You've got the power to make things happen right away. What would be your first move to encourage and facilitate more social prescribing in our fair village?
I would say, just as social prescribing asks patients to reflect on what matters to them.
Yes.
I would ask these city officials to ask what matters to you. What is something you are so proud of in Nanaimo? And gosh, in my limited time learning about this community, I've met so many passionate people in the parks department, in the sports community, in the artistic world. I would ask those folks what matters to them.
Right.
What do they see as the biggest opportunities for social prescribing? Because that's just it. I mean, this can't happen alone. It can't just happen in the silo of, doctors' offices. It can't just happen in the silo of community organizations. It can't just happen with volunteers, and it can't just happen with city officials. It has to be all of these groups sort of mobilizing around maybe one pilot. Let's say it's a pilot between, the parks department and this one pediatrician's office who says, we're going to screen kids for ADHD, or we're going to take kids who've been diagnosed with ADHD, and we're going to try this 10-week prescription program with them. I think in doing that, starting small, starting with what matters to you, the assets and the resources you do have, you're not saying we're going to solve every health issue under the sun. We're going to immediately make every community activity available on prescription, but you'll learn something. And this is the way that it happened in the UK. They started small with a bunch of really passionate doctors and community organizations until it really had organically spread. And then once there was that organic spread, that is when more government officials said, okay, we believe in this pilot. We're now going to integrate this into policy. We're going to earmark some amount of funding each year for these social prescribing pilots to move forward. So that's what I would say. What matters to you?
Love it. Very exciting and inspiring. We have Julia Hotz here, the author of The Connection Cure, and you've been listening to Orange Bench Radio. Thanks for being here, Julia.
Thanks for having me, Derek.
Thanks, Julia. As we close today's show, here's a tune to leave you with. Neil Young's Rockin' in the Free World from 1991. Much like Road to Nowhere, it blends musical inspiration with darker reflections on where we are, but ultimately it's about empowerment, resilience, and the hope that we can all work together to make things better. So let's take that energy, look at the solutions we have, and keep on social prescribing in the free world. That was Neil Young's Rockin' in the Free World. As the lyrics say, we got 1,000 points of light for the homeless man. Let's keep shining those lights by rocking, connecting, and building community together. Thank you for tuning in to Orange Bench Radio. Special thanks to our guest, Julia Hotz, the author of The Connection Cure, for her time and wisdom today. You can catch this and previous episodes at orangebenchradio.ca. For questions, comments, or ideas, reach out to us at orangebench@chly.ca or follow us on Blue Sky or X at Orange Bench Radio. Remember, it's all about hope and healing. Join us next Saturday at 9 a.m. as we kick off your weekend with more music and conversations that matter. A big thank you to Jesse Woodward for producing, Arby Frew for technical support. I'm Derek Poderico, your friendly neighborhood family doctor, and this has been Orange Bench Radio on CHLY Nanaimo.